Pahrumph's most watched and #1 media source for local news and weather with Deanna O'Donnell.
46 local source for news. I'm Deanna O'Donnell and this is your Week in Review. Nye County Sheriff's Office has issued a press release. Last night, Nye County Sheriff's Office Predator Task Force received information that a burglary was going to occur on the north side of Pahrump, during which the suspects were going to take firearms from the residents. Nye County Sheriff's Office street crime deputies and general assignment detectives that comprise the task force set up a stakeout at the residence and watched as the perpetrators committed the crime. When the perpetrators left the residence, the task force attempted to stop the vehicle, which led them on an extensive high-speed pursuit, after which the perpetrators disabled their vehicle due to their reckless driving, and the suspects fled on foot. Stephen Fasking was located leaving the area of the burglarized residence on a moped while high on methamphetamine. It was discovered that Fasking was aware of the burglary and that his brother Dale Fasking was involved, and Stephen Fasking was on his way to the residence to assist his brother. Subsequent investigation revealed that the individuals in the vehicle that fled were Dale Fasking, Amanda Huddleston, Lacey Dreyer, and Robert Medved. Dale Fasking and Lacey Dreyer were arrested a short while later at Fasking's residence. Amanda Huddleston and Robert Medved are still on the run. It was identified that Chastity Hall also was aware of the burglary that was being committed and in fact sent Stephen Fasking to his brother's assistance. Subsequently, she provided assistance in attempting to ensure they did not get apprehended for the crime they committed. Additional stolen property was located at the Fasking residence from other burglaries, and charges for that property will be forthcoming. Subsequently, Nye County Sheriff's Office deputies discovered the vehicle that had fled the scene of the burglary and conducted a felony traffic stop on the vehicle. During that stop, Ariana Hassano was identified as the driver and Jenny Ballard, the passenger. Along with them was located stolen 14 firearms that had been taken during the burglary. Nye County Sheriff's Office deputies responded to the residence of Ariana Hassano and located the stolen vehicle at the residence in possession of David Batillo and Rosh Helm. A search warrant was obtained and narcotics were located within. During the course of the hunt for Amanda Huddleston, a vehicle was stopped and Justin Nelson was identified as the driver and was arrested on a felony burglary warrant. Many of the individuals arrested were found to be under the influence of methamphetamine and marijuana, and the charge of under the influence of a controlled substance pertains to that offense. Anyone with information of the whereabouts of Daniel Richard Cox, age 35 of Pahrump, he's 5'11", 220 pounds, brown hair and brown eyes. Amanda Lee Huddleston, 22 of Pahrump, she's 5'4", 135 pounds with brown hair and blue eyes. Robert Joseph Medved, 25 of Pahrump, 5'10", 160 pounds with brown hair and green eyes, are urged to call the Nye County Sheriff's Office at 751-7000. This is Deanna O'Donnell for News 46. The Nye County Sheriff's Office is cracking down on false reporting of crimes. The Nye County Sheriff's Office has issued a press release. This press release serves to put an ease to any concerns of residents in Pahrump in relation to a report of a heinous kidnapping, robbery, and sexual assault that came into the Nye County Sheriff's Office on Friday. On February 4, 2011, Nye County Sheriff's Office deputies responded to the southern part of Pahrump for a report of a sexual assault that had occurred the previous night. Upon arriving, Nye County Sheriff's Office deputies met with Mary Elizabeth Lawrence, age 59 of Pahrump, who reported that she was the victim of robbery, kidnapping, and sexual assault. The initial report from Lawrence indicated that the violent predator was still at large in Pahrump. The Nye County Sexual Assault Response Team, or SART, was activated and the investigation began. Nye County detectives began an extensive investigation into whom the perpetrator was. During the course of the investigation, Nye County Sheriff's Office detectives obtained a search warrant and subsequently identified that Lawrence's story and recount of the events was not factual. Nye County Sheriff's Office detectives confronted Lawrence and identified that the allegation of sexual assault was presented to the Nye County Sheriff's Office deputies in an effort to conceal gambling activities, and no such kidnapping, robbery, or sexual assault had actually occurred. A request for charges to be filed against Mary Elizabeth Lawrence, once again 59 from Pahrump, will be submitted to the Nye County District Attorney's Office for filing a false report with the Nye County Sheriff's Office. This is Deanna O'Donnell for News 46. Luckily, no injuries were sustained in a two-vehicle accident on Homestead and Gamebird last Saturday morning. We are here at Gamebird and Homestead, where a two-vehicle accident prompted Pahrump Valley Fire and Rescue and Nye County Sheriff's deputies to the scene, which appears to be a rear-end collision. We did talk to one of the victims of the accident who said that a woman pulled inside the storage unit entrance for the garage sale that they're having there, just 10 feet in front of his car, which prompted him to slam on the brakes, and the PT Cruiser slammed into the back of him. Luckily, once again, there was no injuries involved in this accident. Fire Chief Scott Lewis did check out the victims on scene, and they were released. Nye County Sheriff's deputies are investigating the cause of this accident. This is Deanna O'Donnell for News 46. A woman and her dog required emergency crews last Friday night at Basin and Blagg when their car was totaled in a collision. A two-vehicle accident on Basin and Blagg Friday night prompted Pahrump Valley Fire and Rescue, Nye County Sheriff's deputies, as well as animal control to the scene, in which two vehicles collided. One woman was injured and transported locally. Nye County Animal Control took possession of the chocolate lab until a friend of the victim arrived on scene. Basin and Blagg were closed in both directions. No one was injured in the other vehicle. Nye County Sheriff's deputies are investigating the cause of this accident. This is Deanna O'Donnell for News 46. Still more local news coming up after the break. Keep it here.
Pahrump's most watched and #1 media source for local news and weather with Deanna O'Donnell.
And welcome back. The FBI visited J.G. Johnson Elementary School last week. Students as well as teachers were thrilled. Fifth graders at the schools produced the highest cumulative results in the nation and first in the state of Nevada ever.
It's for the fifth grade. And how it works is they had approximately 200 students that signed up to take the program. And the top 20 students are the 20 grades that are actually added together to determine what school wins. The top 5 are actually given the awards because they have the most outstanding scores out of the 20 students. This is the first winner in Nevada. Yes, we had one school that tried it a few years ago, but no one has tried it since. So we did a big push on FBI SOS program this past fall when school started. I sent information out to every school district in the Nevada, and I was just so excited when this school was our very first winner. Any school can enroll. We have to have it as a school group. They can't do it as individuals at home, but the school administrator or school teacher, computer teacher, actually gets on the website and registers the school. Once the school has been registered and it's verified that the school actually, where they're located, the address and so forth, then the teacher will have each student register. None of the students' information is kept in a database. Each student is assigned a student number. Then they log on with that student number. They go in and they take a pre-test to see what they actually know on their grade level, depending on its grade 3 through 8. Once they've taken that pre-test, then they have a little scavenger hunt that they have to do. They go through different websites, they have to click on different things, they read and they follow the directions on there. When they've finished the scavenger hunt, then they go back and they take a final test, and whoever scores highest are the winners.
And what does this in turn teach them?
It teaches them anything that they need to know to be safe online surfing. They go learn how to make correct passwords. What are safe passwords? They learn about bullying online. They learn about predators online, how to keep themselves safe from predators. They learn guidelines, limiting your time on the computer, telling your parents if someone approaches you on the computer, what to do, who to tell, if they have a trusted older sister or brother or parent or teacher that they can report this to. And then they're instructed on what happens when these crimes are actually verified and sent possibly to the FBI or local law enforcement.
What would you recommend for people who are individuals out there as far as learning things about this or teaching their kids about this?
One of the most important things is to have that computer where you can see it. Make sure you talk to your students and your children about it. Let them know what can happen. As much good as there is about the computer, there's also a lot of bad things out there that can hurt them. So they have to be able to see, they have to know, and when their kids want to get on Facebook and Twitter and things like that, to learn how to set priorities and set limits and get on there and use controls. It's also very important that they have virus scanners on their computer, that they have firewalls on their computer. People can actually hack into their computer and watch them on their video if they have a video. So it's very important that they run these computer viruses and that they teach their kids how to act appropriately on the computer.
Last Tuesday was the day that Detective Eric Murphy has been waiting for 2 years, the day his shooter was sentenced. In September of 2008, Nye County Deputy Eric Murphy was shot 3 times after responding to a domestic disturbance call at Terrible's Lakeside, the same place where his best friend, Deputy Ian Deutsch, was fatally shot over a year later. 4 deputies responded that night to Terrible's Lakeside Resort in regards to shots being fired inside an RV just after 1 a.m. When they approached, the male suspect started shooting. He hit Deputy Murphy and several nearby RVs, but the deputies fired back and hit the suspect in the leg. Both men were airlifted to UMC Trauma Center in Las Vegas. The suspect, Joseph Patrick Lamoureux, age 48, is an Iraq war veteran who pleaded insanity in September of 2008 to the shootout that left the Nye County Sheriff's deputy wounded. He has now taken a plea deal, sparing him trial on an attempted murder charge. Lamoureux pleaded guilty last Wednesday in Pahrump to 3 charges: felony battery with a deadly weapon, causing substantial bodily harm, and assault with a deadly weapon on an officer, and misdemeanor discharging a weapon where a person may be endangered. Nye County District Attorney Brian Kunze agreed to drop 12 other charges, including attempted murder in the shootout that wounded Deputy Eric Murphy. Lamoureux faces up to 22 years in prison at sentencing this afternoon before Judge Robert Lane. Deputy, now Detective Murphy, returned to duty 2 months later. This is Deanna O'Donnell for News 46. Deputy William Tidmarsh was arrested for sexual battery nearly 2 years ago. News 46 spoke to his attorney, Conrad Kloss.
What we're here today for is a series of evidentiary hearings and also for a trial setting. Trial's been vacated on a couple occasions that I'm aware of. Pretty much it appears to dodge a negative result for the state prior to elections. At this point, what we want to do is get a trial set so we can get this man cleared and back to work, and also we need to determine some evidentiary issues. Most importantly, the basis of this case is that a young woman by the name of Sarah Rollins is made allegations that Officer Tidmarsh placed his hands upon her, actually inside her clothing, inside her bra and inside her pants, when he was taking her home from, she was out at a bar and she's too drunk to drive and she was trying to drive home, and so he drove her home. What ended up happening was he was arrested by Detective Barukowitz of Nye County Sheriff's Office before they got the DNA test results back. The DNA test results, when they came back after my client had lost his job, indicate that it was 2 separate men that had their hands inside Sarah Rollins' bra and pants, 2 separate men, and that neither of them was William Tidmarsh. So what we're trying to do right now is get the court's authorization to test family members, because Sarah Rollins at preliminary hearing claimed that it was potentially her father or her sister's boyfriend, if I remember correctly, who may have deposited that DNA. So she didn't say why. I suspect she's not suggesting they were touching her so much as they're in the same environment and it was contamination. But in any event, we're going to clear not just Officer Tidmarsh in this case, but also the family members of Sarah Rollins, the male family members, so we can get to the bottom of who this was. It's simply a case where she was a little bit confused at the time, made some allegations, and right now she's sort of locked into a story, and the sheriff's office is locked into a wrongful termination and a wrongful arrest of one of their own deputies. We have a man who at that point, a commended officer with no prior record, who at 40 years old fought hard to get into the academy and worked with people 20 years younger than him and ran with them and exercised with them to get through that academy. Ended up being a commended officer who was at that point fired. There was press releases and statements to the press that damaged his reputation, caused him some friction in his marriage, though his wife is standing by him and certainly supports him fully, and cost him his job.
The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints held their open house last weekend. News 46 had the opportunity to speak with stake president Louis Richards about the church.
The building was occupied for the first time last Sunday, but we wanted to do an open house and just invite all of the Pahrump community to come in and see what we had built here. We've got various members of our church who are taking people on tours of the building just so that they can see all of the features.
And such a beautiful chapel that you have in there as well. Some of the highlights of the tour seems to be the young women's room and primary room, some of the meeting rooms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we have special meeting rooms throughout the entire building for the various groups that meet here. For the women, there's the Relief Society room, the young women's room, as you mentioned, and then we have a room specially built for the children.
The one that we have, the chapel that we have over on Wilson,
yes.
That was just bursting at the seams, wasn't it?
It was. We had 4 of our congregations, or we call them wards, meeting in that building, and it did a great job of taking care of all 4 units for years, but it was time. It was time to build a new building in Pahrump, and so today we're standing in it.
And we're going to have 2 wards out of this building, and how many are going to be out for the one in Wilson from now on?
2 wards will remain at the Wilson Street building, then we'll have 2 in this building as well.
And this is already just taken on the community by storm here. I mean, this is really needed. Are we looking for future ones here in Pahrump?
No, actually, we've got a lot of room now with this building to create additional units or wards out in the Pahrump area, so this should take care of us for a long time to come.
And I know that somebody was telling me some facts and figures today. 400 chapels are built per year by the church just to accommodate.
That's probably true. The church is growing very rapidly, and it is somewhere between 300 and 400 buildings a year worldwide.
Tell me how a person can get involved in the Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Just come out and attend with us. The doors are open. We welcome everyone to come out and participate, and hopefully members of the community will do that.
And what times do we meet?
In both buildings, the meeting times are 9 a.m. and 11:30, so you've got options.
And I know that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints really looks on the family issues here, as well as helping out. They focus on the kids and teenagers a lot, don't they?
Especially, yeah. Families are very important, but the church is really about the individual, whether a person is a member of a family or not. It's for everyone.
And it was opening day for the Pahrump Valley Speedway last Saturday. Owner Chad Broadhead spoke to News 46 about the new season.
Yeah, we're having a lot of fun. A lot of our classes showed up today. The mini stocks just got through running their main event, and it was pretty aggressive driving. I think the rust is showing with that couple of months off, but they done a good race and a lot of hitting in that race. But you know, they turned out okay.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Definitely anxious to get back out there on the racetrack as well. I know we have some special events coming up, but tell me some of the classes that are running today.
Today we have all of the classes except for the can coupes. The rest of them are all here running today. So we had 7 classes show up. The mods you're here. Not many turned out on the modifieds. I don't know where they went today, if they went ahead and went to Mojave or if they just didn't want to race, but they didn't show up too much. But we're doing pretty good. And then we got a couple of special races coming up in April. We're going to have the Dwarf Nationals, and we'll be having a 3-day event up here for them. And then we're also going to have a bomber. The bomber guys are coming out. We're going to do a demolition derby. I believe that is April 19th, I believe.
You can go to bombernation.com for information on that too, as well as PahrumpValleySpeedway.com, right?
Yes, you can. You can check out either one of the websites and have all the information there for you.
That's wonderful. When are we going to be out here next?
We'll be out here on the 19th again of this month. We'll be starting at 1 o'clock. All classes again will be racing. And a lot of the guys are out still getting their motors redone and trannies and stuff like that. So hopefully we'll have more turnout. We had like 40 today, but we're hoping like 60 for the next race.
Well, that's going to be a good weekend because that's actually a 4-day weekend that weekend. I know there might be a little hindrance on the having the Super Bowl this weekend, but you never know. I know that 4-day weekend people can come out here and have just a great time.
Yes, they can. They can come out here and enjoy themselves. And like I said, we just hope we'd have a lot more cars, but it's hard when you got competing tracks within 200 miles. And, you know, we send everybody our schedule in September so we don't cross-reference over the top of any other tracks. We're working hand in hand with Leland down in Victorville, so we're not racing on the same weekends. But Mojave decided to race on top of us. So, you know, let the drivers choose where they want to go.
There you go. And for more information, people can, of course, go to
PahrumpValleySpeedway.com or PahrumpValleyBlogspot.com.
Wonderful. And bring your family, kids and everybody. You can have snacks here at the races, and if you're a driver and you're interested as well.
Oh yes, your family can come out here and get a full line of food. We're hoping to have our hamburgers and hot dogs back for the next race. We've got all the issues for the health department all taken care of. They was looking at, on their water and so on, so that's all taken care of. And so we're getting things rolling again. First time in a long time this track's been like this. So
great to see it back.
Oh yeah, hopefully things will keep getting better. Hopefully we keep getting more cars and more fan base coming, I hope.
And more news right after this break. Stay with us.
Pahrum's most watched and #1 media source for local news and weather with Deanna O'Donnell.
A single vehicle rollover occurred on southbound Highway 160 last week. News 46 spoke to NHP Sergeant Carlos Rivera about the accident.
We did get a call in from a witness earlier, just prior to the accident, advising there was a reckless driver going southbound. Minutes later, the vehicle crashed here in the construction area.
Some of the witnesses said that they almost hit some people here.
Yes, ma'am, that is correct. Actually, one of the workers that was working here during the construction area was almost hit. The vehicle crossed into the left lane, which is blocked off, and which is visibly blocked off by construction cones, and was traveling in the left lane travel area.
And I saw that we had Mercy Air land on scene here as well. We have Pahrump Valley Fire and Rescue, Clark County as well.
Yes, ma'am, that is correct.
And then Nevada Highway Patrol is investigating?
Yes, ma'am, that is correct. And this driver will be flighted out.
And was that the only occupant of the vehicle?
Yes, ma'am, it was.
Are the injuries life-threatening?
At this time, we don't know right now. He is conscious right now, so right now we don't want to speculate anything on that.
I believe they said the person was mechanically entrapped.
He was entrapped in the vehicle on there. He was conscious on there.
What advice would you give to people to drive through this construction zone?
Well, #1, take off at least 10 to 15 minutes earlier. If you have to go into Las Vegas, wear your seatbelts, slow down, and be patient.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And horrible tragedy has struck as a structure fire claimed the lives of 3 children and an adult. The call came in just after 10 a.m. The fire had broken out in the neighborhood of Prospector and Murphy. News 46 was there and spoke with David Taylor, who was first on scene. We're here off Prospector and Murphy, where just the horrific incident occurred, a structure fire. We're going to let you know about that, but first, Pahrump Valley Fire and Rescue arrived on scene. All hands were on deck for this, as well as Nye County Sheriff's deputies, even Sheriff Tony DeMeo and Town Manager Bill Kohlbarger, all arrived on scene here for a rescue. There was one person pulled from the fire scene and on the ground when we arrived, and the bodies just seem to keep coming out. I can tell you that at least 3 children have been transported at this time. One female was dead on scene. We're going to let you know a little bit more about that, but we're going to speak to David Taylor, who is first on scene here.
I was at my house next door and looked out the window and there was fire and smoke, so immediately ran over there and did what I could to help, grabbed a water hose and then started breaking windows to pull the children out. I guess the mother was running around telling us where the children was at, so I went over there and started breaking windows out, and I helped the firefighters to locate the children that were inside.
So the mother was on the outside of the house.
Yes.
Do you think that she was at home at that time?
Yeah, she was at home while it happened, and she was all bloody and cut up like she came out the window. So, yeah, by the time I got here, she was running around and stuff, and I broke the windows helping her to look for her children.
So how many people actually live in this home?
I believe there's 4 children and 2 adults.
And so how old do you think the kids are?
I would say the children that I helped rescue were between the ages of 2 to 4.
And how many kids did you bring out?
I brought out 1. I helped a firefighter bring out 1. I located them inside and then I helped them bring them out.
And there's another resident that lives in here besides...
There was a grown adult that I found in the back room where also a firefighter helped me pull her out too.
And what were the conditions of the kids that you saw?
Not breathing. I'm not sure if they made it or not.
And then the female?
The female, I'm not sure with her either.
And so there's a total of 3 adults that live here and 4 children, or 2 adults?
I believe it's 3 adults and 3 or 4 children. And 2 adults were here at the time.
And then can you tell me any other information that happened?
Other than that, when the firefighters got here, I helped them with the hoses and that was about it.
I see that you got yourself cut up and burnt a little bit too.
Yeah, that was helping them break out the windows and get the other children out of the windows and stuff.
Where did the fire first originate from?
I would say the living room. I don't know, but when I looked out my window, it was already engulfed in flames, so I'm not sure.
Do you think that they were alert?
I believe the children were probably sleeping, or they were definitely not alert, I don't believe.
And I have this to report that this is Chad Broadhead, who owns Pahrump Valley Speedway's grandchildren, his son Anthony and his children. They have all been transported locally here, and as well as Mercy Air has airlifted some of them. This is Deanna O'Donnell on Prospector and Murphy for News 46. Another Good Samaritan who came to the family's aid was Michael Connor. News 46 had a chance to speak with Michael about this terrible incident. And one of the heroes on scene this morning at the structure fire was a Good Samaritan who saw the black smoke, who went in full force to help out. And that is Michael Connor and his girlfriend. We're going to speak to them right now.
Well, I seen the smoke, the first signs of black smoke, and we were going down Charleston Park, me and my girlfriend. And so we turned down Barney to check it out. And when we got to Prospector, we seen the fire going up. It was just coming right through the roof. So we went down to the house, and there was a few people standing outside. So I got out and I started asking them, is anybody in the house? And they said they had babies over here in the crib, and they had some more babies on the other side of the house. So
and this was the mother?
Yes, this was the mother. She was just really frantic. And so I broke some windows over there, and we got one man out.
So there was an adult male in the house?
Yes, he was in the corner east part of the house, front corner. And so we helped pull him out, and they said there was a baby and another boy in there. So I grabbed my hose out of my truck, and I hooked it up to the rest of the garden hose there that they had because it wasn't long enough. And we started squirting in the window.
So there was actually fire in that room, or smoke?
No, it was just smoke. It was so thick you couldn't see more than a foot in front of you. It was just really bad. And so the fire department, they got there, and right as we were squirting on the other side, he came in and he pulled the boy out. And so I ran over to the other side because the mother said there was some more people over on the other side. And so we broke that window and we started squirting the hose in there. And there's just so much smoke, we just couldn't see what was going on. And so the sheriff told me not to, get any closer. And then that's when the fire department came with their other crews, and they started dousing it with their hoses. And it took about maybe 20 minutes for them to get that fire out. It was just really hot in there. And
you said there was some type of explosion.
Well, I heard an explosion. It wasn't that big, but you seen you could tell it was an explosion because the big old puff of smoke, black smoke, just came right out from the top of the roof. And I didn't know what was going on. I know we were on the other side of the house, and I seen the propane tank right there. So, I thought I flipped it off. I wasn't sure if I did or not, but I was kind of worried about that. That might explode too, because I didn't know really what was going on in the house. I was just hoping that everybody was able to get out. And I don't know what the outcome was, but it was really traumatic. It was an experience that, it was my first time, doing something like this. And it was really, I don't know how to explain it. It was just running here, running there, and really had no control over it, nothing. It was it was just crazy.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And News 46 finally had the chance to catch up with a very busy Fire Chief Scott Lewis. I'm with Fire Chief Scott Lewis. We had a structure fire this morning on Prospector.
Yes, just after 9:30 this morning, we had a report of a structure fire with occupants still within the structure. Upon arrival, we found numerous civilians and Nye County Sheriff's deputies who were trying to effect a rescue. One of the occupants had been removed just as I was arriving on location. One of the rescuers was an off-duty test site firefighter, and they were administering care to that patient. So we knew that we still had several occupants. The fire department arrived and went into a rescue mode. Several of our firefighters went through the windows with a protection line, protecting them as they entered. They found 2 additional victims in different locations and safely removed them from the structure. However, there was a fourth occupant of that structure who was on the opposite side of the house that did not survive as well. So we had 4 fatal today, 3 children and 1 adult. We're currently in the investigative phase of the incident, and we've summoned the additional resources from the State Fire Marshal's office. They've committed resources as far as Carson City to come out and assist us on this. So between the Sheriff's Office, Pahrump Valley Fire Rescue, and the State Fire Marshal's office, we'll be conducting a very in-depth investigation as to what happened today.
And there's dispute over, was there a man inside the structure that came out first?
Well, I really don't want to get into the gender of the issues, but what it comes down to is that we had 4 fatals. We had 5 people injured on the fire today. 1 was an occupant of the structure that got out on their own. And then we had the off-duty firefighter from the test site who was injured. And we had a firefighter who was in the initial rescue effort was also injured. He's still in Desert View Hospital being evaluated. And 2 Nye County Sheriff's officers who also sustained injuries in the rescue attempt this morning.
Do we know what caused the fire?
As I mentioned earlier, the State Fire Marshal is down to assist us in the investigation, so all avenues are open as far as that investigation, and we'll just see what the outcome is.
Was the mom home at the time that the fire started? Do you know?
It's my understanding that she was on the location, and she is the one that did get out of the property or the structure and was being treated for her injuries.
So was there 2 adults inside, left inside, or do we know? Because there's been reports that there was the mom, another female, and then the 3 kids, and then there's other reports.
Now, that's my understanding at this point, but again, until the investigation's complete, we'll just rule out everything, especially who may have egressed out of the early stages.
Does anything look suspicious on this?
Not at this point, but again, we're underway in the investigation, so again, we're not going to rule anything out at this point.
More news right after the break. Stay with us.
Pahrum's most watched and #1 media source for local news and weather with Deanna O'Donnell.
News 46 had an exclusive interview with Sharon Broadhead. She spoke with us about the horrible fire that left 4 dead. I'm here on Prospector, where 4 lives were tragically taken due to a structure fire. We're going to speak to Anthony and Sharon Broadhead about their 3 children and Sharon's friend. We're going to speak to them about 6-year-old Brandon, 4-year-old Zachary, and 1-year-old Elliot, as well as 26-year-old Crystal Smiley. Anthony and Sharon did not want to go on camera, but they did want to put the word out there. And as you may know, News 46 has a long-time standing relationship with the Broadhead family. And before we start, we'd like to extend our deepest condolences to all of the families affected.
My friend said, they say there's couches on fire. And I went and I ran and I tried to grab a little extinguisher. And I didn't even know how to open it.
So you had a small fire extinguisher?
And I tried running around the couch, but then the flames were so hot that I was getting burned. And I could hear one of the children run to the room and slam the door. So the only thing I could think of doing was running outside and breaking windows and trying to get them to come to me.
So the fire was pretty intense at that moment.
It went from small to a large within like a blink of an eye, and every time I stood up, I couldn't breathe, and then I ducked down, and then I noticed that one of my windows wasn't locked. I pushed it open for air, and I went to reach for my friend, and I couldn't find her.
This was the friend that was staying at the house. What is her name?
Crystal.
She was living with you?
No, she's a real close friend of mine.
She was the one that told you about the fire originally?
Yes. She said, "Oh my God, the couch is on fire," and I said, "I know." She actually called 911. I didn't even reach for my phone.
So you weren't able to get to the children at that point. You were outside the home. What did you do then?
I was outside the home. I grabbed bricks and I broke windows. And I kept breaking windows. And then the fireman told me to stop because it's just feeding the fire. All I could scream about were my babies in that room.
And Your friend Crystal was in the back room at that point on 911.
Yes, because I had fallen out of the window and I kept screaming for her to come to my window. I couldn't hear her. So I went and I grabbed a bunch of people from the other side of the house. I was like, there's somebody else in here. Please help me. Please help me.
Tell me about Zachary, Brandon, and Elliot.
Brandon was the little smart little kid you could ever have. He could count to 100. He was so proud of himself. He would come home and he'd bring home his art and say, Mommy, this art's for you. He loved going to school. He loved playing on his bike. He loved playing in dirt.
Zachary really loved the races.
Yes, Zachary. Actually, Brandon and Zachary both loved the races so much. They would hoot and holler for anything, really, when the race would go around, not even if it was a win. Zachary would just jump up and scream, woo! Just in it.
And Elliot was just 1 year old.
Just one.
You have other children, right?
I do.
How old are they?
10, 14.
We also spoke with Anthony Broadhead about the fire and his 3 children whose lives were lost in this blaze. Brandon had a different father, although Anthony right here has raised him as his own. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been my son since he was 3 months old. I've been there ever since, and
you are dad.
I am daddy, and his dad gave up rights 4 years ago. Brandon and Zachary and Elliot, they were daddy's boys.
They still are. Tell me, Anthony, about how you found out about this.
I get a call from a friend down the street at 10:03 that says, I'm at work, and I get a phone call that says, your house is on fire. I hung up the phone and I ran out of work. I told my boss, I'm leaving, my house is on fire. And I ran, and I'm just glad there was no cops around. I was doing everything wrong and getting there as fast as I could. And as soon as I get there, while I'm on my way, I'm getting phone calls. I'm calling people. I was told Brandon and Elliot were in the hospital, but Zachary was missing. And all I could think of was hurry and get there and find my son. It's too late. Daddy wasn't there.
I'm so sorry.
It took a while for them to let us know that they didn't make it. They pulled us in a room, and walking to the room, I didn't even want to go in there because I knew what it was. And the doctor says, I'm sorry, this is really hard to say. And I lost it then. To hear the doctor say, we lost all 3 of your boys today. I can hear my family screaming and crying. I wanted to leave the room, but they wouldn't let me. My boys didn't deserve this.
Julie Hargis and Car Studio will be holding a fundraiser this weekend to benefit the Broadhead family.
Well, down here at Car Studio in front of the Prompt Nugget this Saturday, February 12th, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., we're going to have a benefit car wash for the Anthony Broadhead family.
And tell me what that consists of.
We're going to ask people to come down and have their car washed and make a donation to the family. We will be donating our time and materials to do that. If someone doesn't have a car, they want to still help, they can drop off a donation. We'll be making sure that that gets to the account that's been set up. And if they'd like to come down and help wash cars, I think we're going to need a lot of help. So bring your old towels, come and dig in and help. I think it's going to be a great time for the community to be able to come out and help this family who suffered very deeply from this tragedy. It's an awful event, and it's really touched our hearts. I talked to Terry, the owner, this morning, and he said, absolutely, let's do it. So we're going to have a car club down here, so you can come down, look at some classic cars while you're down here having your car wash. Everybody wants to contribute, just looks for the signs. Danny at High Impact is printing us out some signs, so come down here, look for the signs, you'll be able to find us. I don't know what the family may need, but if somebody feels like they have something they would like to donate, if they want to drop it off here, I'll make sure the family gets it too. Anything we can do to help. This community does pull together, and that's what we want to do. We want to be part of it.
Thank you so much, Julie. And for more information, where can they call?
They can call me on my cell at 775-513-0960.
And once again, what time?
It is Saturday, February 12th, Saturday, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And our blessings and best wishes to the Broadhead family.
And Tamara Trudeau and Syeda Trudeau Chrysler, Jeep, and Dodge are accepting clothing and monetary donations for the Broadhead family. Clothing sizes needed for the surviving family members are junior pants size 0 to 1, junior shirts sizes medium, shoe size 6.5, girls pants size 14, girls shirt sizes medium and large, ladies pant size 14, ladies shirt sizes extra large, ladies shoe sizes 8. All donations can be taken to Syeda Trudeau, Chrysler, Jeep, and Dodge. For more information, you can contact Tamara Trudeau at 727-0102. More news to come. Keep it here.
Pahrum's most watched and #1 media source for local news and weather with Deanna O'Donnell.
Last week's town board meeting met with lots of anticipation concerning the town manager. Item number 6 was regarding whether or not to renew the town manager's employment agreement.
Able not to renew the manager's employment agreement.
I'll second the motion.
Motion is first and seconded, not to renew the town manager's contract. Any discussion from the board?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Waters.
One of the things that Ms. Endersby mentioned was if we don't feel we've done due diligence. And I know on our first town board meeting of the year, I stated that we needed time to do our due diligence. And one of the things that I have said over and over is, you know, I've hired many people, I've fired many people, but I have never had to review a person in 1 month and make a determination. Never.
Or I should say the motion was not to continue this particular contract. Mr. Kohlbarger was still in employment until June. This board has the option to offer Mr. Kohlbarger a job under a different contract if it wants to. That gives time. Just offering some thoughts here. So it doesn't mean exactly what Mr. Waters is saying, that he's being terminated. My interpretation of what the motion is that this particular contract won't continue past June.
Have enough time. I said the new members of the board in 1 month really have not had the opportunity to judge Mr. Kohlbarger.
I sent all of you a letter describing an unfortunate situation that I had to work through over the past 2.5 years. Through Mr. Kohlbarger's knowledge and his experience, he was able to keep things safe for the town and safe for the employees and safe for me. His actions actually saved this town about $250,000 in labor costs.
But I know how easy it is to judge and condemn a person in the court of public opinion.
I stand behind him because he's passionate about our community, he's honest, and he's trustworthy. I think it's sad that you guys point fingers, certain members of the board points fingers at him, but you guys should all know when you point one finger, you have 3 fingers pointing back. And I think Mr. Kohlbarger has done an amazing job, and I feel very sorry for you that you've worked with such negative people.
It was my privilege last year for about 5 months to work with and for Mr. Kohlbarger at the town office. I thoroughly enjoyed that. I was able to watch him on a day-to-day basis over many things. We put together agendas. I watched him with other people that came in that were anxious to do business in town. I watched him with people who had concerns. He treated everyone with respect and kindness, and he worked through their problems with them. He never treated anyone rudely. He always gave them as much time as they needed or wanted, and maybe even beyond that. There are the people in this town who are working 3 and 4 and 5 jobs to make this town work that maybe can't come to town board meetings. The people that are able to come to the town board meetings, the ones who are the most negative, that are going to boo in a moment, are the ones who have really not much else to do. I can't believe the negativity that comes into this room.
What I'm appalled by is that the people that are calling our town manager names and pointing fingers and screaming and acting ugly are saying that he's acting ugly. And how is it that we're not looking at ourselves when we're acting that way and cannot apply that same thing to ourselves?
Mr. Kohlberger's job is to bring items to the town board for the town board to make the decisions. If he has brought some things to the town board and the town board voted yes, the town board is responsible, not Mr. Kohlberger.
The motion on the floor is not to renew the town manager's employment agreement. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The motion carries 2-3.
And if you want to see more of the town board meetings in its entirety, you can tune into our digital channel 46.4. The town board agenda item 13D called for the approval to accept the resignations of 5 members of the Prump Incorporation Advisory Board. News 46 was there to see how it went.
Having worked with the people that have worked on the on that advisory board, these are outstanding people and they are experts in the field. So I understand their frustration, and I think I share the frustration that they have. But they are the experts, and the advisory board itself has not been disbanded. We're going to continue the advisory boards with people that doesn't have the expertise that the current people that are resigning have. So we'll have an advisory board, and these are people who are going to be advising the town board, but they're not the experts that we need.
You can't imagine how I felt when these people gave up so easily. Would I be sitting here today if I gave up so easily? Would our country have been founded? I mean, I can go on a whole big old tirade, but you understand where I'm coming from. So I'd like to make a motion to direct staff to ask these people to reconsider their resignations.
I just regret that they didn't come to a regular meeting of the advisory board and speak openly about their concerns. Without that, it's hard to address their reasons.
Yes.
If I may. I really don't think it's staff's position to ask them to reconsider. I think it's the town board liaison's position to ask them to reconsider. And I'm asking the town board to amend their motion to have the town board liaison ask them to reconsider. It would be much more coming from the town board.
I think that it would be, I kind of agree with you, the staff idea, but I still think that we need to vote on this, to say that we really, the town board to say to these people that we really would like you to come back, and so that the liaison could present that to them rather than you. Could we amend it to have us vote on encouraging them to come back and have that to give to the liaison?
Okay. Motion's been restated.
Hi, Jeff Bobeck, former chairman of the Incorporation Advisory Board. It's hard to speak. People were on the board, and I never really got a feeling for who was really in favor of it and who was not. There were forces that thought our purpose was to move forward with the corporation at all costs, no matter what, to prove that it was viable, or to be a rubber stamp on a certain procedure. And there were various elements in this town that went around us, and I think a lot of the board felt that their opinions or what they came up with just wasn't desired, or that the various elements weren't even interested in what the board had to say. their only interest in the board was if the board agreed with them, then great, they could go forward with it. If not, then we're ignored. And I think that's a big part of it. Personally, I'd like to hear from the liaison and talk with her if she's willing to talk. I'd be willing to do that.
We need to look seriously at this incorporation issue, and we need to bring the facts to the people, all of it. And I believe that a board under the auspice of the town board is going to have an easier time getting information from the state and so on than just a private little organization out there trying to get into things. So I think we need to move forward, and the past board has done a lot of work, and I don't want to see that thrown away.
Is to have the town liaison for the Incorporation Advisory Board contact the advisory board members to see if they want to send their resignations. Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
And that's it for this edition of News 46's News in Review. Lots of fundraisers for the Broadhead family. Please go to Nevada State Bank to donate to them under Anthony Broadhead's name. The viewing for the family will be on Tuesday from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Prump Family Mortuary on Vicky Ann. The funeral services will be held at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints on Mans, that's the new chapel, on Wednesday at noon. The public is invited. Crystal Smiley's funeral is set for next Friday. Stay tuned next week for more information on how you can help the Smiley family and for more information on her funeral. I'm Deanna O'Donnell. Have a great weekend.